Everybody. Happy end of the day Thursday. Anybody have big plans over the weekend? Everybody makes weekend plans. Me? Ah, I'm looking forward to a little bit of downtime. I don't know about you guys. Not like my schedule's hard. I only have second, fifth, and seventh periods. So it's not a difficult schedule, but it's all the stuff I try and get done in between. So try and get a lot of things get done in between the classes. So it's good. It's motivating me. If I didn't have anything I was scheduled for, I would procrastinate. Like, yeah, I'll get that done later. Later will come, later will go, and it won't get done. See, now knowing I've got class starting at this time, so I've got to get it done now, that gets me motivated. All right, so it's testing week. I know most of you don't test, but it was just a blanketed don't give any tests or quizzes this week. So what I did was I put together, mostly done for me. I kind of just tweaked it a little bit. Macbeth analysis. It's going to go kind of deeper into some things with understanding how they use the language and stuff like that. So this is going to help you understand what we have more. And so your final is going to be based off of Macbeth Acts 2 to 5. So we will finish Act 5 next week. Um, and so I wanted to take a little bit of time to go over something that will help everybody with the understanding of what we are going over. All right, so here is our Nearpod. One of these days, I hope to get as good as the people that made this one. Mine are really basic. All right, you guys some time to get in there. Okay, so people still logging in. So we will get going. All righty. So we're going to build our skills with Macbeth. Um, yeah, it's a lot of, the language part of it, of what we're looking at as far as um, what we're doing with this play. Okay, warm up time. So let us explore superstition. So I want to know, do you feel that you personally are superstitious? So this could be for anything. Um, some people think that they have to enter the same door or exit the same door they entered in, or it's bad luck. Some people have it for sports. I know of at least three people that have certain gear they have to wear for their team to win. And one guy, it's his socks. And if he's not wearing the socks that he, by the way, refuses to wash because that washes off the luck, then his team's going to lose. Interesting. Your poll results in now who is and is not superstitious. Okay. So that in alone will help you view Macbeth differently. If you are a superstitious person, feel like you would think that Macbeth is doing what he needs to more to fulfill it. Those people that are not suspicious or superstitious, they're like, dude's nuts. And you're not wrong. Very crazy character. All right, moving on. So you can tell me, you don't have to say yours 'cause a lot of you answered that you're not even superstitious. So I want to see what some common superstitions are. I gave you a couple of examples, but what are some superstitions you've noticed? Breaking mirror, 7 years bad luck. Yep, I've heard that one. Also, swallowing gum, but that one they pass off as medical science. Walking under a ladder. Yep. Walking through a graveyard. Feet backwards. A ghost will latch onto you. That in the Haunted Mansion, Disney. Get the ghosts that follow you. By the way, the one that they did, the more recent one with Rosario Dawson, um, they really gave a good take on that one of the ghosts following you home and which ones they are and how it works. It's actually pretty cool. No umbrellas inside, and Friday the 13th. We've got horror movies to thank for the second one on Yours, Bria. Although COVID didn't help. It was March 13th, which was a Friday, 2020, that really the announcements came out of we were going to not, for us, I was in Collier County, Florida, which is Southwest Florida at the time, um, that we were going to have an extra 2 weeks of summer or spring break, which we actually were excited about. We're like, oh, yeah, I know. Splitting a pole. That's a new one, Kenzie. I've not heard of the splitting the pole one. See anybody else typing? The screens are small, so if you are, I apologize. I just can't see you. All right, so we listed some superstitions. All right, so we already kind of went over how the name Macbeth itself was considered to be cursed. That's why they refer to it as the Scottish play. So Shakespeare used the spells of real witches. So, again, they believed in witches back then. So that's one of the reasons why they thought it was a doomed production. Um, I actually wanted to do a little bit more research on this one. I've heard it for a really long time that it was a cursed play, but I actually don't know too many instances of what happened, unless people are too scared to talk about it. So yeah, it if you see that somebody's performing Macbeth, you're going to walk on the wild side. If you're superstitious, go for it. And if you're not, then I guess if anything happens, it would be a coincidence. Okay, we're going to practice. So let's look at the language. And so we call this Elizabethan England because Queen Elizabeth Tudor, as Queen Elizabeth I, was sitting on the throne. So that's why they attribute this time frame to her. So she was reigning when Shakespeare was born, and then she passes away after he starts with his career and work and that sort of a thing. And then King James takes over because Queen Elizabeth died without an heir. And so she was the last of the line of Henry VIII. Henry VIII had three legitimate children, all of which sat on the throne for a brief time. None had any heirs. So it had to go back up to Henry VIII's siblings. So Henry VIII had three siblings. I almost said four because there's four of them. Arthur, his oldest brother, died with no heirs because he died shortly after marrying Catherine of Aragon, and he passed away before much else could happen. Margaret was his older sister. She was married to the King of Scotland and had several children. And then he also had a younger sister, Mary, and Mary was married to the King of Portugal. So Margaret has precedence over Mary because Margaret is first in the birth order, after the boys, of course, because it's Arthur, Margaret, Henry, Mary. So Henry gets put above everybody else because he was the firstborn son after Arthur died. Okay, so he has works translated in almost every language. They're performed around the world, and I personally prefer his comedies. He does pretty good with the histories. I can only imagine how cool that was. People being able to see historic events and characters come to life and present themselves in front of them. I guess for us, it'd be like watching a documentary. Tragedies, which is what we're going over right now. But all of it's using poetic conventions and lots of drama. Let's face it, it would be boring. Could you imagine a scene where everybody just kind of sound like that dinner party scene where he starts seeing the blade coming and he starts freaking out? If everybody just came in and they're just like, oh, someone's late and they're just talking, that'd be boring. Okay, so the Scottish general is Macbeth. And then he's consumed by the prophecy from the three witches that he will be king of Scotland. That's when he takes matters into his own hand, kills the king, takes the throne, and that's what his desire was for both him and his wife. Unfortunately, it spirals into madness. So, Shakespeare is trying to give us all a lesson of keeping your ambitions in check. Okay, so we're going to match each character to the description below. So you can just take the crayon or the highlighter. Either one works. And you're just going to take the name and you're going to draw a line to whichever one it goes to. I'm going to give you some time to work on that. Sorry, I hit the wrong thing. Okay, I hope I didn't mess anybody up. Clicking on the wrong spot of my screen. Some good answers there. Okay, so a lot of you did very good with this one. So Macbeth, he is the Scottish general who listened to the witch's prophecies. Lady Macbeth, she is Macbeth's wife, deeply ambitious, who would like power and position. Witches, put them in red. They plot mischief against mischief, Macbeth using spells and prophecies. Malcolm, let's give him green. Malcolm is the son of Duncan, who's going to challenge Macbeth. And Banquo, he is another brave moment. He is murdered, and then his ghost haunts him. Okay, good work, everybody. All right, so metaphors and poetry. We have a lot of soliloquies. So if you see somebody talking for a long time, there's a chance they're doing a soliloquy. This was a time that not only could a writer really show off, they could advance the plot quite a bit. They could make a character seem more intriguing or let people know what is going on. So we have some married couples in there, so there are some sexual connotations that they will take from there. But mostly it's I want to say Lady Macbeth is kind of one of the worst, where she keeps questioning Macbeth's manhood because he seems weak when really it's his conscience that is making him feel guilty because let's face it, what they did, that wasn't right. Okay, so we're going to look at some of the quotes and we're going to translate it into meaning. Okay, so foul and fair a day I have not seen. So, what are your interpretations of what this means? And that foul doesn't mean bird. Tell you what, I could put you guys in some breakout rooms. That way you can discuss it. So I am removing the focus mode and I'm opening up so that everybody can see the chat. I'm going to do 3 breakout rooms and have it automatically put you guys in there. So I'm not picking the groups. So there'll be 4 to 5 participants for each group, each room. Okay. Go ahead into your breakout rooms and you can discuss what you think. So foul and fair a day I have not seen means. Got some excellent interpretations here. So most of you seem to have gotten the foul and fair part, where you can have a day that is both bad and good. Um, I was trying to pull a day from history of what could be depicting something like that. The only thing I can think of was as the Allied forces in World War II were winning and defeating the Axis forces, which was definitely good. They started coming across some of the concentration camps that the Jewish and other oppressed people were being held in. Um, they wanted to, seeing these people that, you know, had basically skin and bone because they'd been starved for so long, they wanted to give them food right away. Unfortunately, if they did that, their stomachs would explode. Yet they had to gradually get back to eating normal food. So, first, they had to take away the food that these starving people were eating. Secondly, in order to be able to check everybody out, they had to have a place to put them. They had to keep them in the camps, not under the same conditions, but they had to keep them in the camps for a time period because they still had to take care of them medically. And so while they must have been so excited that they were being liberated, at the same time, they're like, you're not quite free yet. We still have to take care of you given the conditions you've been in for a long time. And we also have to take you from where you've been and work you back up to having solid food. So I would imagine they had had both a foul and fair day when that happened. So one of the parts I didn't see too much on is I have not seen. So basically, this day, and Addison did a good job here of tapping into Macbeth's guilt. Um, he's not seen this type of fair and foul because the fair is these people that are dying gets him closer to the throne. Foul is doing the murders and then how he feels about doing the murders, which honestly makes me feel better that he felt foul about that. If he killed people and was like, yes, that would be messed up. So he's not seen that before. When we met Macbeth, he was a war hero. He was a general. They were like, he's doing a great job. He's advancing our cause. And, he seemed to be an upstanding man. He would fight his part of the battle, if not more. He would be victorious because of his, I'm guessing, great leadership and war strategy. So all of these things are good. So if he had a foul day, it wasn't because he did something so despicable to make it that way. All right, so good work on that. Yeah, there you go. Good, Brody. Okay, next one. Give me your favor. My dull brain has wrought with things forgot. We could do breakout rooms again if you like. Seemed like that worked out pretty good. Like that? Okay. Well, I don't see anybody say no. All right, so we'll do the breakout rooms again. I'll give you a couple minutes in there. And it looks like the same ones. All right, see you all soon. Very good. Very good. So give me your favor. So that right there is kind of like help me out, bro. My brain, my dull brain. Okay, so we had a good amount of insight on that one. Feeling overwhelmed. A lot on his mind. Uh, Indications of recollection, confused, forgotten, mental fatigue, difficulty. I don't remember who he's asking this one, but yeah. Dull brain would indicate that because when somebody says you're sharp, that means that you're right there with them. You're on point, you're answering questions, you're recalling things. Dull is the opposite. Wrought. That's a very interesting word. So that doesn't just mean like non-functional. It's like it's almost like um, broken in pieces or tanked with things forgotten. Okay. So, uh, if you've forgotten something, how can it be daunting on your brain? Now, people have told me this that reach like their 70s, where they're just like, I know I've forgotten something, and the thought of what they can't remember is so distracting that they can't concentrate on what they're doing. So, somebody that had lost her keys and she didn't even remember what she lost. She just knew she was looking for something and couldn't find it. So she couldn't have a conversation or think about anything going on until she first off remembered what she forgot and then found them. Okay, good work on that, everybody. Good work. Okay, so now we have our slideshow. So this is what you read and extract. Ooh, not gonna let me highlight that one. So what we want to extract from Macbeth. We're gonna get these things and we're gonna take them. Okay. So what are we going to take from what Banquo says here? What are these so withered and so wild in their attire? He's talking about the witches that look not like the inhabitants of the earth, and yet are on it. Live you, or are you aught that man may question? You seem to understand me, but each at once her chappy finger laying upon her skinny lips. You should be woman, and yet your beards forbid me to interpret that you are so. That was something that the play we're watching doesn't have on there. They don't have them wearing beards. Well, they do have the Caribbean one that I think is kind of funny. She reminds me of Calypso from Pirates of the Caribbean movies. Okay, so when he says, "What are these?" He's referring to people or something that looks like people, but he makes them sound like they're objects. So withered, you know, that means, and so wild in their attire. So that's what they're wearing. So basically, he just said that these objects that may be human are wearing stuff that makes them look, I guess what we would say is homeless. Makes them look like, somebody that's been out in the elements of the weather for so long that things are frayed and maybe worn out, discolored. And with the wild, I'm getting an idea that not only are the beards, but their head hair are kind of wild. So that's somebody that's not used a hair dryer or shampoo in a long time. That look not like the inhabitants or the earth. They look like they're from another planet. So that's kind of weird. Um, did Shakespeare really believe in aliens? Hmm. And yet are on it. So they're on the earth, but they don't look like they belong on Earth. And now he's asking if they're alive. And are you aught? So kind of redundant of this one. Like, are you really there? Kind of one of those instances where you probably have to like reach out and see if they're tangible or not. Of is this a mirage? Is this something I'm imagining? That kind of a thing. That man may question. So he's questioning all of this. You seem to understand me. So I guess they're nodding as he says stuff. Uh-huh. Okay. By each at once her chappy finger lay. Okay, so their fingers are chapped. For those of you that are not familiar with cold weather, that's when you get this layer of skin over your fingers where it looks like you're freezing to death because you have like an extra layer of like dead skin on you. Okay. Upon her skinny lips, how he sees that with them beards, you should be woman. So you appear to be a woman, but yet your beards forbid me to interpret. So I would think you're a woman, but you got the big beard, so I'm not sure you are. So what is he saying? That they are crazy looking. He can't quite stick them into the category he's used to fitting women in. Also, human beings or anything that dwells on the earth. So we've got a couple of little descriptors in there, but basically what we can pull from this is Banquo is like, what am I looking at? So he is just taken back by these women. Okay, so this one Macbeth, speak if you can. What are you? Not who are you? What are you? First witch. All hail Macbeth. Hail to thee, Thane of Glabus. That's what he is in the beginning of the play. So he's like, well, clearly somebody that knows me. Nice first bearded lady. Second, all hail Macbeth. Hail thee, Thane of Caldor. He's like, I'm sorry, did Thane of Caldor come in here? Because that's not me. Dude's alive and well, and I just had brunch with him the other day, so uh who are you talking to? Then the third witch really blows his mind. All hail Macbeth. Thou shalt be king hereafter. He's like, So we go from existing to a little bit more clout to lots of clout. These two are the ones that he was not expecting. So this is a very pivotal moment in the play. Had second and third witch not been able to give her prophecy, and first witch just said, "All hail Macbeth, hail thee, Thane of Gladys," he'd be like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm not signing autographs right now. Leave me alone, you weird bearded ladies." And that would have been it. Short play. The end. Say it's the shortest play, but we can make it shorter. Okay. This one. Banquo. Good sir, why do you start and seem to fear things that do sound so fair? I, the name of truth. Are ye fantastical, or that indeed which outwardly ye show? My noble partner, you greet with present grace and great prediction of noble having and no of royal hope. Okay, I'm going to put you guys back in the breakout rooms for you to go over this one. You guys can tell me in the chat what you think, what you have extracted from this part. right. Welcome back, everybody. So a couple people became inactive midway through, so that was leaving some people by themselves in a room. So I just moved them over and made two big rooms instead of three smaller ones. All right, so what do we think? Good sir, why do you start and seem to fear? What can we extract from that? Thoughts, huh? What do you think means seem to fear? You can fear something, you cannot fear something. But what about seem? What does that mean if somebody seems afraid? Are they really afraid or are they not? Huh? So if somebody seems to fear, they're not fearing. But why would somebody pretend that they're scared of something? Especially a guy back then. I mean, these guys, these generals, they're all about like, ooh, I'm manly man. I do things. I break things in my head. So these are people that are warring. You don't want to be fearful of something when you're in a war. But it's three bearded weird ladies. Okay. So maybe he seems anxious or uncertain. Things that do sound so fair, it sounds good. I, the name of truth, are ye fantastical? So it seems like the truth, but it's really a fantasy. So I think that would have been funnier if the three witches came up and said, a unicorn's going to come. But I guess that wouldn't be very tragic. Okay. So Banquo is actually calling Macbeth on his outward appearance is not replicating what's going on inside. He is such a good friend of Macbeth. He can tell when he's faking. So, um, he's like, I know that wouldn't scare you, but yet you're acting like you're scared. My noble partner, as guess my good friend, you greet with present grace and great prediction of noble having and of royal hope. So it sounds like these guys have had more than one conversation where Macbeth was like, "Yeah, yeah, the throne, that's great. I probably won't be on it, but you know, they seem that they're close enough that if Macbeth ever had ambitions for the throne, they probably would have discussed it. But back in that time, that is treacherous. That would actually be treason. So you can't really talk about, even if they had mentioned something about Malcolm being on the throne after Duncan named Malcolm as heir to the throne, if they had mentioned that hey, I wonder what the reign of Malcolm's going to be like, even that is treason because they're toying with the idea that the king that's sitting on the throne is gone. Okay. So, what we can extract from this is how close of friends these guys are, and how Macbeth didn't seem to really show any interest in pursuing the throne, at least not as much as he is right now. Or, well, it's a little after this scene. Okay. That he seems rapt withal, to me you speak not. If you can look into the seeds of time, and say which grain will grow and which will not, speak then to me, who neither beg nor fear your favors nor your hate. First witch, hail. Second witch, hail. Third witch, hail. Getting an idea here. All right. We don't have a whole lot of time. We can go back to the breakout rooms for a couple minutes to try and extract something from this. Did anybody extract anything from this? Okay, so seeds of time. So these are not actual seeds. So we're not talking about like tomatoes or something like that. We're looking at possible timelines. Which grain will grow and which ones won't. So basically, what they said to Macbeth is Thane of Glamis, Thane of Cawdor, King. So all three of these are seeds that they put out. All three of these grew within the plot line of there. So what she said to what they said to Macbeth, or I'm sorry, to Banquo, is you yourself will not sit on the throne, yet your heirs will. Now, he could have several heirs. They all can't be on the throne at the same time. Which seeds will grow, which ones will not. All right. And last one for today. Okay. Lesser than Macbeth and greater, not so happy, yet much happier. Thou shalt get kings, though thou be none. So all hail Macbeth and Banquo. Banquo and Macbeth. All hail. All right. Now talk in circles here. All right. So lesser than Macbeth and greater. So basically, Banquo is not actually going to sit on the throne. So he's lesser than Macbeth because he himself won't be on the throne, but Macbeth will. And the greater is Macbeth's line will not continue, which was very important back then. That was something that really um, freaked out kings. I've think I've mentioned before that I read the autobiography of Henry the Eighth, the one that had the six wives, two divorced, two beheaded, um, and that sort of a thing. So he talks about it because it wasn't a stress for him when he started because he had an older brother. He was the younger brother who's going to be a cardinal. He wasn't going to be king until his older brother passed away. Well, then he had a shift, and he, in his own words, expressed how much pressure that was to come up with multiple heirs because, you know, death rate was not great. They had plagues every once in a while, that kind of a thing. So, Henry VIII, while he had a long reign himself, he did have heirs take over the throne. It ended very shortly for him. So a greater line would be the one when James Stewart took over, which they're still in power, well, power now, really kind of more figurehead than anything, but they still reign in Buckingham Palace, the whole thing. So, um, he's greater because his line will be on the throne longer. So, not so happy, yet much happier. So, lesser the happy, and these two line up. And then the third witch is kind of like, okay, look, the last two, they're just confusing. Let me tell you what's going to happen. Thou shalt get kings, though thou be none. So that puts in perspective what these two bearded ladies said. So she's like, okay, this is why you're greater but lesser. This is why you're happier but not happy. Okay. That is the answer to these. And then they're hailing both of them. One of them who will be king, and one of them who will have kings come from his line. Okay, so I don't want to move on any further because we've got like 3 minutes to go. So now is a good time for you to ask me any questions you might have on Macbeth, because this is pretty much what your final is going to be on. So if you're not sure what's going on at any point, I would like to know. I put the chat back to only I can see what you're doing. So if there's a question you want to ask on chat that you don't want me to share with everybody else, I can say what the question is and answer it. So everybody gets the answer, but they don't need to know that you're the person that asked. Find the trickier the names, the harder it is to follow along with the plot. So Romeo and Juliet, you have like Mercutio, Benvolio, Tybalt, and it's like, wow, they're Italian. So I guess I'm not used to Italian names. These guys are Scottish. That's why there's a lot of Mac at the beginning of it. If they were Irish, it would be Mick, MC without the A. Guess we're out of time. So nice seeing everybody. Hope y'all have a nice weekend. Look forward to seeing you on Monday. Or we'll wrap this all up. We'll finish Act 5 and get ready for our final.